I was told I had cancer. It was such a terribly frightening, horrible thing to hear that it was malignant, and I felt so isolated.
Jill Ireland married Charles Bronson in 1968 after he told her first husband, "I'm going to marry your wife." But that scandal was nothing compared to what came next. She hid a miscarriage on set while filming to protect a $75,000 contract. She worked for 6 more weeks while bleeding inside. Then, in 1984, she sat alone for 10 hours with a lump in her breast before telling anyone. What actually happened between her and Bronson during her cancer battle shocked even Hollywood. Jill Ireland was born on April 24, 1936, in Hounslow, a town in southwest London. Her father Jack was a wine importer, but right before the war, his business started falling apart. War restrictions ruined his shipments. Her family lived on Maswell Park Road in a house called Chertsey, but peace didn't last long. By the time Jill turned 4, German bombs were falling. The London Blitz was terrifying. Between 1940 and 1941, bombs shook the city almost every night. Their home wasn't safe, so Jill, her parents, and thousands of others spent night after night in cold underground stations. Sometimes they stayed there for days. During those same years, Jack's business collapsed completely. With no income, her mother Dorothy started washing clothes for neighbors just to earn a few coins. 6-year-old Jill helped her fold and sort dirty clothes in a home that had cracks in the walls and windows taped to keep the glass from shattering. She didn't complain. She just kept working. That early struggle shaped her. It built something in her that wouldn't break later in life. In 1943, when she turned 7, Jill began ballet lessons at the Royal Academy of Dancing in London. The war hadn't ended. Air raid sirens still howled through the sky. She and the other girls often had to run to bunkers right in the middle of class. Her mother paid 2 shillings and 6 pence every week for her training, which would be like $50 now. That was nearly 15% of what the family earned, but Jill was gifted. She had a grace people noticed right away. She danced lead roles in local versions of the Nutcracker and Swan Lake. In 1944, when London was hit by V-1 flying bombs, something unforgettable happened. During a Christmas performance, sirens started screaming, and the audience ran for shelter. But Jill didn't stop. 8 years old, alone on stage, she finished her solo. The teachers said they had never seen a child that determined. By the time she was 10, she was already 4 feet 8 inches tall. That was considered too tall for classical ballet, and she was warned she might not make it. But she didn't care. She started practicing 4 to 5 hours every day inside their small house, ignoring the bombs still falling in the distance. In February 1948, at exactly 12 years old, Jill joined a touring ballet company. She earned $5 a week, more than her father ever made after the war. But that opportunity turned dark quickly. The company's 45-year-old director, Maurice Thornton, started calling her into his office for private rehearsals. He made her uncomfortable, then inappropriate, then dangerous. One night after a show in Manchester, he locked her in a dressing room and tried to force himself on her. Jill broke free by crawling out of a small window, cutting her leg on broken glass. She ran. When her mother reported the incident, the company threatened them. They warned if she spoke out, Jill would be banned from dancing in Britain. So, she quit. For 6 months, she stayed home. She had nightmares. She refused to be alone with any man. That early trauma stayed with her forever. But it also gave her a deep sense of how dangerous the world could be, especially for young girls. Later, when she became famous, she was known for fiercely protecting child actors. By 1951, Jill was 15 and joined the Corona Theatre School in London. She was now 5 feet 7 inches tall and often teased. The shorter girls called her names like Giraffe Girl and Freak Show. The teachers weren't kind either. Some told her that girls taller than 5'5" would never make it in British film. She didn't argue. She just started sneaking out of school to meet older men. One of them was a 28-year-old married theater director. She was only 16. When her parents found love letters under her mattress, her father exploded in rage. He threatened to send her to a convent. One night in 1953, she came home at 3 a.m. and tried to climb through her bedroom window. Jack Ireland caught her. He punished her by taking away her makeup and costumes for 3 months. She didn't stop rebelling. She smoked behind the school, drank gin stolen from her father's old bottles, and started skipping lessons. Her teachers described her attitude as wild and hard to control. By the end of 1953, when Jill was 17, her father's business finally shut down for good. The family lost their house and moved into a small flat in a rough part of West London. Her mother earned just $3 a week as a seamstress. Jill had to help. She got a job in a dirty cafe in Soho. From 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., she served food to drunks and strangers who often harassed her. She was paid just 10 shillings a day, maybe $20 in today's money. Some customers tried to touch her. Others stole from her. She ate only once a day, usually just bread and butter. She lost 20 pounds and once fainted during class from hunger. That Christmas, her family couldn't afford food, so Jill stole meat from the cafe. If anyone had found out, her acting dreams could have ended before they started, but no one did. That moment stayed with her. She swore she'd never be that poor again. In 1955, when she was 19, Jill got her first film role in Oh, Rosalinda. It wasn't a big role. She was just one of many young dancers. But people noticed her. She had a spark. That same year, she appeared in Simon and Laura, then Three Men in a Boat in 1956. She didn't rise fast, but she was steady. She took whatever role she could get, always working, never quitting. On May 11, 1957, she married Scottish actor David McCallum. They had met the year before on the film Hell Drivers. Their relationship was also professional. They worked together in several projects, including The Man from UNCLE episodes in 1964 and 1965, and also Robbery Under Arms. Their marriage lasted 10 years. In 1958, they had their first son, Paul McCallum. Jill kept acting during that time, appearing in The Ghost Train Murder and The Desperate Man in 1959. That same year, she played Jill Thompson in Carry On Nurse. The film was a massive hit. It became the biggest box office success of 1959 in the UK, with over 10.4 million viewers. In the US, it was so popular that it played for 3 years in some cinemas. It had a small budget of $71,000, but made $2.8 million in rentals. It launched her into the spotlight. In 1962, she and McCallum adopted a baby boy named Jason. The adoption was arranged through a private lawyer, but years later, Jill found out the lawyer had lied. Jason's biological father had been a heroin addict who died of an overdose. His grandfather was an alcoholic. Jill believed Jason was born already carrying addiction in his system. As he grew older, Jason struggled with drugs. In 1989, he died from an overdose at just 27 years old. Paul gave the eulogy. He said Jason once ate his pet caterpillar and used to stroke his head when he had migraines. The family was close, even when everything else was falling apart. In 1963, Jill moved to Los Angeles with McCallum for The Man from UNCLE. At first, she hated it. One day, she was walking alone when a man mugged her on Rodeo Drive. He broke her nose, stole her purse with $300 inside, and threatened her with a knife. She needed surgery, and couldn't work for 6 weeks. She never forgot how scared she felt that day. That same year, she met Charles Bronson on the set of The Great Escape. Something happened immediately. Bronson told McCallum straight to his face, "I'm going to marry your wife." McCallum thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. Jill whispered back, "I'm going to marry your friend." It wasn't just attraction. Bronson sent her flowers every day, wrote her notes, and even got her cast in his films. By 1965, they were having a secret affair. They met in hotels under fake names. Jill told McCallum she was visiting her sick aunt. In March, a photographer spotted them entering a hotel suite. They hid for 2 hours in a service elevator. The truth came out in 1967 when McCallum found Bronson's letters in Jill's jewelry box. He read every word. They were explicit. He confronted Jill at a dinner party, then punched a wall and broke 3 bones in his hand. Guests like Robert Vaughn and Stephanie Powers saw the whole thing. The next day, hospital reports listed his injury as domestic violence related. He never pressed charges, but the marriage was over. The divorce almost ended Jill's career. Tabloids printed headlines like "Homewrecker Jill steals best friend's husband." She lost $500,000 in contracts. She was blacklisted by studios like Disney and MGM. She got hate mail. Over 1,000 letters a week. Some threatened to kill her. Old friends stopped calling. Courts said she was morally unfit and took away visitation rights to her sons. She thought about quitting acting completely. Only Bronson convinced her to stay. On October 5, 1968, Jill Ireland married Charles Bronson at a beautiful ceremony in Malibu. What should have been a dream wedding turned into chaos when her ex-husband David McCallum showed up with lawyers demanding to see their 3 sons Paul, Valentine, and Jason. For nearly 4 hours, McCallum refused to leave the grounds. Guests whispered in disbelief as security finally had to escort him away. Almost no one knew that in the middle of all this, Ireland had been secretly involved with filmmaker Michael Winner. Winner later admitted they were intimate just days before the wedding, which made the timeline scandalous and set the tone for a marriage that would fill tabloids for the next 22 years until Ireland's death in 1990. Only weeks later, the newlyweds began filming villa rides in Spain. Bronson's jealousy exploded when he learned Ireland had romantic scenes with Robert Mitchum. He stormed into the director's trailer, demanded complete rewrites, and threatened to walk off the $2 million production. The script had to be altered so dramatically that Ireland's part was cut down to just 12 minutes. Cast members said Bronson even grabbed director Buzz Kulik by the collar during one of their violent arguments. Mitchum later called Bronson's possessiveness pathological, and the delays cost the studio another $400,000. The following year, while shooting Twinkie, Ireland was 16 weeks pregnant and suffered a miscarriage but kept it secret to protect her $75,000 contract. She worked for 6 more weeks while bleeding internally, took dangerous doses of painkillers, and collapsed twice on set, claiming exhaustion. She checked into hospitals under a false name at night for transfusions and came close to death during a stair scene. Only Bronson knew the truth. The miscarriage left lasting complications that would shadow her health and feed into her later cancer battle. In 1970, the couple adopted a daughter named Zuleika, which triggered harassment from Bronson's first wife, Harriet Tendler. Tendler, who received $2,500 a month in alimony, sent threatening letters, hired private investigators, and made over 30 threatening phone calls, some with death threats. Bronson had to hire armed guards and move the family to a secured Malibu compound. Legal fights drained more than $100,000 before a restraining order finally stopped the harassment in 1972. While making Cold Sweat that same year, director Terence Young pushed Ireland into a dangerous underwater escape scene in the Mediterranean without proper safety gear. She spent over 45 minutes in 52-degree water, inhaled water, developed pneumonia, and still worked for 3 more days. Bronson blamed Young and reportedly punched him in the face. Ireland was hospitalized in France for 12 days with severe lung infections requiring experimental antibiotics. The incident delayed filming 2 weeks and cost the studio $300,000. Tension peaked again with the Valachi Papers in 1971. Producers wanted a 3-minute nude scene for her character, Maria Valachi. When Bronson found out, he stormed into Dino De Laurentiis' office in Rome and threatened to quit the $2 million film. Ireland eventually filmed the scene clothed in a nightgown, but reshoots cost $47,000 and delayed the movie 6 days. During The Mechanic in March 1972, while playing a suicide scene that mirrored her own depression after 2 miscarriages, she accidentally overdosed on Valium and Seconal and had to be rushed to Cedars-Sinai, where she stayed under observation for 18 hours. Director Michael Winner, who found her unconscious, later said her real struggles had made the role painfully authentic. In Idaho, on September 8, 1975, while filming Breakheart Pass, Ireland's horse stumbled on loose rocks at mile marker 47 of the Camas Prairie Railroad, fracturing her left radius and bruising her ribs. She hid the injury and took up to 8 Percocet pills a day from a local doctor to keep working. Bronson warned her about addiction, but she insisted on finishing the film to protect his $1 million paycheck. On April 12, 1976, in Tucson, From Noon Till 3 brought another eruption. Ireland had to kiss another actor for about 45 seconds. After 3 takes, Bronson stormed off set, vanished for 2 days under an assumed name in Phoenix, and shut the production down at a cost of $85,000. Ireland persuaded him to return by promising to tone down the scene. In 1979, Love and Bullets turned into a fiasco. Ireland demanded her character, Jackie Pruitt, survive, instead of dying as scripted. Director John Huston quit in February 1979, walking away from his $500,000 fee. Production shut down 8 days while Stuart Rosenberg and script doctors rewrote 23 pages. The budget ballooned from $7.2 million to $8.9 million, and the final film flopped, its narrative weakened by last-minute changes. In 1980, Ireland watched director Michael Winner add a brutal gang rape scene to Death Wish 2. The scene took 6 days to shoot and deeply affected her. Silvana Gallardo, who played the victim, later said she had consulted real rape survivors to prepare. Roger Ebert called the scene lifeless and condemned its graphic nature. Different countries received edited cuts because of its violence. Ireland's exposure to the filming left lasting psychological scars. By early 1985, Ireland got a devastating call about Jason. The kid's on the needle. He's an addict. She later learned Jason's biological father, not an architect as she was told during the 1962 adoption, but a heroin dealer who died of an overdose, meaning Jason may have been born addicted. Jason first encountered drugs at age 7 at a school bus stop, and at age 12 a Rolling Stones bodyguard gave him cocaine. She later called Jason the only serious casualty among their 7 children. In 1984, Ireland co-produced The Evil That Men Do under her Zuleika Farms banner, staying 6 weeks on location in Mexico. She stepped aside from the female lead to support Teresa Saldana, who had survived a stabbing attack in 1982. The shoot was chaotic, with a director change mid-production. Her casting director partner, Hilary Holden, died of a heart attack at age 46 on May 13, 1983, leaving a 15-year-old daughter the Bronsons later adopted. These losses and stresses weighed heavily on Ireland. By 1985, Ireland had appeared in 14 of Bronson's films, and only one TV episode, one made-for-TV movie, and one theatrical film without him. She was seen only as Bronson's wife and had to retreat into producing through Zuleika Farms to try to control her career. On November 7, 1989, Jason McCallum was found dead at age 27 on his bathroom floor in his Hollywood Hills apartment from acute multiple drug intoxication. Ireland, battling a cancer recurrence since February 1989 with a prognosis of only 2 to 3 years, chartered a plane from Vermont for the funeral at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, where both McCallum and Bronson served as pallbearers. Jason's biological mother, Vicky, placed a rose and a rosary on his casket after everyone left. Earlier that year, Ireland had published Lifelines, revealing Jason's addiction and hoping it would keep other young people from the same path. President Ronald Reagan had personally presented her the American Cancer Society Courage Award in the White House Rose Garden on May 12, 1988, for her book Life Wish, calling it a companion for many others going through the isolation of catastrophic illness. She also received the Betty Ford Award from the Susan Komen Foundation and testified before Congress for Medicare mammography coverage, all while confiding suicidal thoughts to Bronson in secret therapy sessions. Her 1989 memoir, Lifelines, shocked Hollywood with revelations of Bronson's furniture-smashing rages and the hidden facts of Jason's adoption. She described how lawyers had deceived her and David McCallum in 1962, and suspected Ritalin prescribed for Jason's hyperkinesia triggered his addiction. The book also recounted her 1987 reunion with Vicky, who told her the truth about Jason's father's overdose. Through 1989, she spoke at over 50 cancer events, while cancer spread to her lungs and bones. She lost 23 pounds, needed IV treatments between appearances, and once fainted on stage, blaming low blood sugar to keep going. Her fees reached $15,000 per event, making her one of the highest-paid advocates of the time. Venues were quietly told to have medical personnel nearby. By December 1989, she turned down film offers worth over $2 million to focus on writing, revealing the full extent of her decline. Bronson surprised everyone by turning down Death Wish sequel offers totaling $8 million to stay by her side. He massaged her feet nightly, prepared her meals, managed her medicine, and even helped her dress. He converted their master bedroom into a medical suite with hospital-grade equipment and learned to administer her IV treatments personally. Ireland said in her last interviews that Bronson would read to her for hours from classic literature and kept detailed journals of her condition, her medications, and her moods through her final battle. In May 1984, Jill Ireland felt something strange in her right breast while checking herself at home. She was in her big 14-bedroom mansion in Bel Air. The house was full of life, with 7 kids, friends, and family. But for almost 10 hours, she didn't tell anyone, not even her husband, Charles Bronson. She just sat with that terrifying thought, completely alone. Later, she said that no one could step into that moment with her. People thought she kept secrets, but it was just shock. She said the only people she knew who had cancer had died. That fear froze her. It was just one day, but tabloids turned it into a story of months of hiding the truth. When the doctor confirmed it was cancer, it was Bronson who broke the news to her. He had already spoken with the oncologist and the radiologist. It wasn't a secret between them. He was there from the beginning. When the doctor said she needed surgery right away, Bronson held her hand and never let go. He went to every chemotherapy session with her. He picked out berets that matched her eyes so she could feel beautiful, even when her hair was falling out. He helped choose her clothes after surgery. He wasn't distant. He was everywhere. In June 1984, she had a radical mastectomy at Cedars-Sinai. They removed her entire right breast and 8 lymph nodes from under her arm. Bronson stayed in the waiting room the entire 4-hour surgery. He didn't eat. He didn't move. Afterward, he helped with her pain medicine. He even changed her bandages himself. Nurses said they'd never seen a Hollywood couple like that. Most never visited. But Bronson didn't leave her side. During chemo, Jill tried to protect him. She told him she felt better than she did. She didn't want him to see her throwing up every 20 minutes for 6 straight hours. She lost 23 pounds in a few weeks. She was so tired she couldn't get out of bed. She told him it was just regular tiredness. She didn't want him to suffer too. But after a few weeks, she told him the truth. It wasn't hiding. It was love. She lost 85% of her hair in 6 weeks. She stopped eating. But the press said she was keeping secrets. They never saw what was really happening. In August 1984, just 3 months after her diagnosis, she stood in front of 47 reporters at the Beverly Hills Hotel and told the world she had cancer. She said, "I want to share my experience openly to help other women." But still, headlines came out saying she had a secret cancer battle. The National Enquirer sold 2.3 million copies with her on the cover, under words like secret agony. Meanwhile, her book Life Wish came out and became a bestseller. By 1987, it had been printed 5 times. Readers were shocked to find she had actually told everything. The truth was the opposite of what the headlines said. Later that year, in October, she had more surgery and 6 weeks of radiation. Bronson made a choice that surprised everyone. He canceled movies worth $3 million. He said, "My wife needs me more than your movies need me." Every morning for 6 weeks, he drove her to Cedars-Sinai, sat in the hallway, and waited. Then he took her home. Studios were angry, but he didn't care. His wife came first. Then, in July 1988, Jill called another press conference. Her cancer had come back. This time, it had spread to her lungs. Doctors gave her 2 to 3 years to live. She stood next to Bronson again, holding his hand. She said it wouldn't be fair to hide it from the people who had read her book or listened to her talks. Bronson stayed quiet, but whispered to her when she needed strength. He never left her side. In 1989 and 1990, Jill became too sick to do anything. That's when Bronson changed completely. The tough man from action movies started waking up at 5 a.m. to make her shakes to fight nausea. He cooked every meal. He helped with homework. He changed her medicine every 4 hours. He helped her bathe and dress. He called doctors. He managed their horse farm from the phone. Friends and family said they'd never seen this side of him. Not even Jill had seen it before. After 22 years of marriage, he was becoming something even deeper, her caregiver, her shield, her lifeline. One day during her hardest chemo sessions, something unusual happened. Bronson started reading poetry to her. He chose Robert Frost, Maya Angelou. He spent hours practicing so he could read it just right. Jill wrote in her journal that his voice reading The Road Not Taken saved her life. He even wrote poems himself. One was called Vermont Mornings. She kept it close. In her final hospital days, nurses said he showed up every morning at 6 a.m. with fresh flowers. He read poetry out loud in her room. Sometimes patients in other rooms cried just hearing him. Together, they did over 200 interviews about cancer between 1984 and 1990. Jill went on talk shows even when her hair was gone and her body was weak. They talked openly about money, too. They spent more than $500,000 on treatments that insurance wouldn't cover. In 1988, they started the Ireland Bronson Cancer Foundation. It gave out $2.3 million in help for families who couldn't afford treatment. Jill said if even one family avoided suffering in silence because of them, it was worth every bit of pain they went through. Jill died on May 18, 1990, in their Malibu home. After her cremation, Bronson had a walking cane made. Inside, it was a secret chamber filled with her ashes. He carried that cane for 13 years, everywhere. As he got older and weaker, it was that cane, her ashes, that helped him walk. When Bronson died on August 30, 2003, at age 81, he was buried in Vermont. The cane went in the coffin with him. They were together again, even in death. Her book Life Wish sold over 1 million copies. It became more than a book. It was a message to every woman going through the same fight. Her second book, Lifelines, talked about her son Jason's heroin addiction. He died of an overdose on November 7, 1989, just months before she died. He was only 27, found in his bathroom by his girlfriend. Jill said losing Jason hurt more than cancer ever did. But even through that pain, she kept helping others. Her books still sell. The money still goes to good causes. Her voice still speaks. After she died, her private letters revealed something unexpected. She had forgiven David McCallum, her first husband, for everything. He had changed when he became famous. He became distant. Their home felt like two strangers living under the same roof. Their divorce hurt her deeply, but in her will, she wrote that she forgave him. That's why later McCallum said he never hated Bronson. He called him a good friend. That forgiveness closed the last chapter of pain in her life. 1 year after her death in 1991, NBC released Reason for Living, the Jill Ireland story. It showed the pain, the addiction, the cancer, but also the love. The real love. Not Hollywood love, not fake romance, but real, stubborn, messy, heartbreaking, unshakable love. The kind that survives through chemo, death, and even years of silence. It was based on her book. It told the story of how one woman and one man took everything the world threw at them and still held hands in the dark.